But if it is true, I mean, how depressing for the Tour de France to come. Because if he won on the verge of abandoning, then a fully fit Tadej Pogačar absolutely steamrolls everyone even more so than he did.
Welcome back to Spin Cycle, everybody. I'm Kaylee Fretz. Today on the show, Victor Lafay is a rocket. Pogačar's knee really hurt at the Tour, and Lenny Martinez says he didn't cheat. Let's get to it. Welcome to the show, Johnny Long. You're skipping out in the villa this afternoon.
Yes.
Let's not talk about why.
No, we've had enough doom and gloom on this podcast in 2025.
Yeah, let's leave
keep
that.
Politics out of sport on this one occasion.
I was just doing a skate by the numbers thing, which actually won't run until the end of the year, but I started working on it. And our stories with the top comment counts, surprising absolutely nobody, are all the ones that involve politics. Yeah, Whoa. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Welcome to the show, Dane Cash.
Hey, Kelly.
Are you sleepy? Checking in.
Let's give today. Actually, I'm pretty good. Pretty good today. 7 out of 10 maybe in the sleep department. So I'm doing all right.
Did you get a new light?
No, I always had this light.
Oh,
yeah.
You look great today, Dane.
My parents are in town, so they're like in the middle of the night. You know, they take my child and that may add a lightness to my.
Your hair is looking particularly bouffant, I would say.
Oh wow, that's a great word, Johnny.
Would you like to know? Maybe this is after dark. Would you like to know Jonathan Votter's nickname for Dane Cash?
Ooh, Dane wants to know, but that could be after dark.
Let's leave that for after dark. After dark. Let's get to today's show. We're going to kick off with Victor Lafay, who is it safe to say that Victor Lafay stole our hearts at the Tour de France?
Yes.
I think so.
Yes, and he restole mine in China.
Unreasonably so. Like, hasn't actually done very much, right?
He's done plenty.
Runner-up at Guangxi, that's a lot.
Yeah. Won the Tour stage. Looked like a medieval infantryman in between meantime.
There's not that many riders that have entered the full sort of Spin Cycle character list. Yeah, cinematic universe. And he definitely has. Why are we once again talking about Victor Lafay, Johnny?
Victor Lafay, after his Tour de France stage win, earned him a presumably quite large contract from Decathlon Étoile Mondiale, was getting to the end of that contract now, basically, and was umming whether to continue with this professional cycling life. He said sure, there are worse things to do. Like, he could carry on, but he was contemplating the fact that there is sometimes more to life than trying to ride your bike really fast. And so among his ideas were exporting cheese to Japan, as we've discussed previously. Now, he has decided to continue his professional cycling career, but with a twist that our own Kit Nicholson saw coming.
It was very impressive.
Yeah, victory lap for Kit, because Victor Lafay has signed for the Unibet Rose Rockets, which is maybe the perfect transfer. Yep. In the announcement video, Victor Lafay talks about how he didn't necessarily find himself like fitting in the World Tour box in terms of the way that those established teams operate, in terms of what was expected of him, I guess, signing as like a guy rather than like pack fodder. So he's excited on that. He obviously, I still want to call them the Tietema team, the Unibet Rose Rockets. They do things a bit differently. They're like content first. They have spawned from a YouTube team. And you can see that, Lafay will get the chance to maybe have a bit more fun. That's what you got the sense of, especially in China, was that he wanted to have, a bit more fun and not just be... And he said that was so key for his performance. We also found out that alongside the selling cheese in Japan idea, his other idea was opening a food truck that sold croque monsieurs, which is actually a really good idea. I don't think necessarily.
Okay.
But he is probably small enough that he could fit inside one of the tiny vans they have there and still be like churning out croque. Also, he pronounced it croque monsieur, but surely it'd be croque monsieur. Because if you're not selling just one, are you? The idea is you sell volumes of crops.
He is a French man. I think
yeah,
you would probably know.
But then I know, but it's
But
weird,
Johnny's
isn't
thinking
it?
more in a marketing sense, I think. You know.
Well, no, I'm just thinking grammatically. Anyway,
Either way,
that
I
doesn't
didn't know he
really
was such a cheese
matter.
guy. That's a lot of cheese.
I know. So Victor Lafay seems very happy. Also, as well as Kit taking a victory lap, I would like to take an early victory lap well before it's proven. Are you telling me that having signed, let me get all the riders, Victor Lafay, who else have they got? They've got Rory Townsend, Dylan Groenewegen, Wout Poels. That sounds like half of a team that would be at the Tour de France and people would like to watch.
Significantly better than your average, Arkea over the last decade.
Well, I would even say Groupama. I'd say that's a more interesting half team than Groupama have. Maybe even Ineos would take to a Tour de France in this day and age.
Wow.
So yeah, I think that has been part of the Rocket's success of signing some of these riders. It's been like, look, you can see that with other teams folding and us getting these various guys in, if you join as well, then Tour de France World Cup becomes even more likely.
Yep.
So why don't you hitch yourself to our wagon and see what happens?
I mean, ASO definitely likes Victor Lafay. He became a bit of a darling of the French public, and there's not that many French darlings at this point in time.
No.
And I mean, I just hope that he was so electric in that tour, right? When he won his stage, and I mean, remember that he did that in front of a galloping peloton. It was Wout van Aert that finished, I think, second behind
in a Cofidis
right?
jersey.
In a Cofidis jersey. And like just an incredible finale, right? And he was clearly on amazing form to do that in the Tour de France, particularly early on. I think it was stage 2, right? Stage 3, something like that. To do it early on when everybody is just champing at the bit to get something out of it, and he basically just rode off the front of this peloton, right? He clearly has an insane level of talent, which we haven't really seen since, and yeah, maybe he just needs a slightly more relaxed environment. He needs a more Cofidis like it. I don't know if that's a nice thing to say about the Titimo boys, but
less Dominique, why so serious?
Yes, exactly. Who we know from the Unchained series is maybe not the easiest man to work for. The vibes
tricky.
are absolutely horrible, and I think it's safe to say that Victor Lafay is a vibes-based rider, right? And person. So he needs to join a vibes-based team, which is the Unibet Rockets.
Rose Rockets.
I also really
Rose
appreciate
Rockets.
In the marketing department, which we know this team is very good at, the way that Bastitaba himself, well, his name is on it. Maybe it was ghostwritten for him by a marketing professional. I don't know. But it had a whole blog post basically about the story behind the signing, going for a ride with Victor and convincing him not to retire, basically.
Yeah.
Which I really appreciated. This is a team that really knows how to market. I mean, look, Victor Lafay's great. He's worthy of a short segment on the podcast, but it's not like they signed Remco Evenepoel, And,
I don't know. I think you're going to get more bang for your buck from a Victor Lafay contract.
Maybe. I mean, the bang for your buck, I can't really argue with that, seeing as Evenepoel's getting paid a pretty penny. But yeah, in any case, this is not a signing, I think, that would generally generate this much hype. But they know what they're doing. They know how to get everyone talking, and they gave us this great backstory. Bastidama explained this whole how they got him to come back or to do another year. It was great. So hats off to this team.
We do know that the Titimo boys listen to this podcast.
Oh, do we think? Oh, God.
Do we think we had anything to do with this? Oh, yeah, because Boss, he just direct messaged me on Instagram the other day saying, thanks for summing up our team very well recently.
Oh, Christ.
So we were talking about them.
I don't like to learn that. Yes, let's take full credit.
Let's take full credit.
And that's trickle-down economics in some way.
I think so.
Maybe.
I think so.
I think they've been opening up. I definitely saw Joe post about this. Joe Laverick, I think, has been helping out with their written content and newsletters a bit. So that goes to show as well, we're biased because we're friends of Joe. But, hire the right people in to do the jobs, like hiring Victor Lafay to race his bike and make people feel warm inside. And turns out everything becomes much easier.
Will the Unibet Rose Rockets allow Victor Lafay to pursue his cheese-based interests while racing.
I think they will encourage it. If they are not at the start line of the Dauphiné with a little croque monsieur van, hand them out as they would the pizzas on the Champs-Élysées.
Yep.
Then they'll have missed. Then they will have, gone far from where they started. They've lost the strayed. Thank you, Dane. That's the. Try not to say stray because that's a rival podcast, obviously.
No, yeah, that's true. We can't talk about other podcasts. That's true.
It's hard to say, sitting here watching pro cycling and how pro cycling is shifting at the moment, whether Unibet Rose Rockets are the future of pro cycling or UAE are the future of pro cycling. Right?
I think it could be both.
It probably both, but it's sort of, they're two very different things, right? I mean, one is fundamentally just a very effective marketing exercise, which is what pro cycling has historically been. And then we've got all these other, state-sponsored, billionaire-sponsored, like which direction is pro cycling going to go? Or do we end up with sort of like two tiers here where we've got like the billionaire class and the state-sponsored class, and they buy up all the true talent, right? They buy up the Pogačars and the Evenepoels and whatever else. And then you've got this sort of second tier that's sort of like the Unibet Rose Rockets and maybe EF and maybe like a couple other teams kind of start to figure this out as well, where they kind of operate in the kind of, let's say the Rockets are not at this level yet, but if they went World Tour sometime in the next couple of years, a budget somewhere in the 20 to 35 million range, whereas the top are operating in sort of the 50 to 70 million range. Do we end up with a sort of stratified pro cycling?
I think it's kind of, they have to be that way because of the stratification that already exists. Because you already have UAE, Visma, Little Trek, Red Bull. Those teams, as you said, they're buying up all the good riders. Then there is a second tier, and that second tier, as we've seen this year with Arkea going away, with Intermarché and Lotto merging because there's not enough sponsor interest to keep, that either one of those teams alive by themselves.
Yep.
You can't really survive at this point if you're one of those not great tier 1 teams unless you got this whole other thing going for you, like being good at YouTube. And so I think there really is going to be this, and there already is, this sort of two-tiered thing.
Yeah.
Can I, instead of the trust tree, could I maybe jump into let's call it the honesty box for a second?
Oh, yeah.
I hope, I know we're supposed to have some level of journalistic ambivalence or whatever the word, or, whatever, about the sport in general, which we do, but I want the Rockets to succeed. I want more teams to come out like them because if I am being honest, I've never been less enamored with the traditional World Tour teams. I think in terms of what they offer in terms entertainment wise, I think in the racing sometimes the media operations often just feel so stale and they're all just doing the same thing as each other. Like the Rockets, I think the reason that they're having such an outsized effect and maybe get to the Tour next year is because they feel like such a breath of fresh air while also not necessarily doing anything that crazy in terms of creatively or different. It's just everything else is a bit stolid. Sorry, Dan.
On the note, on the stolid note, can I just say that UAE with their statue, I think they really changed the game, and I want to update you guys.
Oh yeah,
I have official confirmation from the team on this, on the statue. It took a little while.
And a Dane Cash exclusive
on the statue. It took a little while, but I did hear back from the UAE press officer that I bothered with this question.
Which one?
Yeah,
this was George.
Oh,
George.
Yeah.
Okay.
We decided not to bother Luke with.
Yeah, we decided to leave Luke with the spicier questions.
So I asked George. I said, I have an important question for you. Is the statue made of gold or is it gold paint? And it took a little while to hear back. But he informed me not only is it so it's not gold. Right, we kind of knew that.
Obviously.
Yeah.
It's a 3D printed, as you guessed, I think.
Yeah.
I guessed that.
Yes.
Well, yeah. It's pretty obvious.
with gold paint. So not actual gold.
Not even gold leaf?
Not even gold leaf. Even gold leaf, I think,
UAE.
would cost many thousands of dollars.
That sums up the UAE. It's all, it's all bright sparkles, and then, come live in our tax-free utopia. And then turns out you can't actually go outside some days because it's so miserably hot and dusty.
Yep.
Which, anyway, Yeah.
I for
a
one,
facade.
I
facade.
for one would never criticize this country. I can't wait to go back.
You escaped under the cover of darkness last time you were there, I've heard. Yeah, like the gold statue, I think, was the nail in the coffin.
Yep.
I'm out on all that BS, and I want more, Victor Lafay type riders riding for teams like the Rockets. I think if I have to carry some bias and be called out for that in general, fine. I'm pro Rockets, and I will do everything I can in my small part to help them succeed, and that's fine.
I think that's totally acceptable. I don't think you have to sit here and like pretend to like, state-sponsored team covering 3D printed plastic and gold paint, and also funding like civil wars in Sudan. I don't think we need to pretend to like that. I think that's okay.
Now that I've kind of bummed you and everyone else out talking about that on Monday's show. Did you see the thing that's come out in the news where some of the horrors that are being committed in Sudan you can actually see from space? That's how bad it is.
Jesus.
So just think of that next time, watching Tadej Pogačar on a bike. Anyway, can I finish off this part with maybe not necessarily a record holder, but the first person I've noticed doing this is someone has almost completed the Middle Eastern sports washing quartet. Because Pascal Ackermann, after a stint at the UAE Team Emirates,
interesting,
then moving to the Israel Premier Tex, has decided to continue his tour and has hopped over to Jayco Alula on a 2-year contract. So all he's missing now is Bahrain Victorious. Yeah. So Pascal Ackermann, if you are, if you're ever sat there in the cold of the off season wondering, I wonder what Pascal Ackermann sort of thinks about, various moral quandaries. You have your answer. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, getting that paycheck.
Yeah,
do it up.
Time.
Do it up. All right, let's take a quick break.
Congrats to Pascal.
Congrats.
Quick, get us out of this segment, Kate.
Quick, get us out of this segment. We are going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Tadej Pogačar and something not to do with Sudan. Welcome back, everybody. Tadej Pogačar. We knew he had an injury. We saw him fall down at this year's Tour de France. But this week, Tim Wellens was on a podcast, right? I believe that all these things pop up in a podcast. Was it L'Equipe?
I think it was
Who did he talk to? Okay, L'Equipe. Tim Wellens talking to L'Equipe let us all know that, in fact, Tadej Pogačar was actually close to dropping out of the Tour de France, went to the hospital to check out that knee injury. It was more dire. Basically, it was more dire, and we keep finding out that it was more dire than we originally thought, right?
Yeah, it was on, as Tim Wellens tells it was on stage 17, which I think went to Valence. And Tim Wellens says, Tadej came to me and said, Tim, we have a problem. My knee is killing me. So then that's not good. And if you look at the photos now, he does look quite uncomfortable on the bike during that stage. Yep. So after they'd finished in the rain, Pogačar goes to the doctor, even went to the hospital to do some tests, and they discovered like an infection. And they were sure that the news was going to leak out, I guess, from someone seeing him like at the hospital or something. And that they'd even discussed on the team bus the fact that he could even abandon. Which is quite severe, and I still take these stories with a bit of a pinch of salt, to be honest. Until we actually hear it from Pogačar, and even then, who knows if he wants to be playing mind games or he's just over egging it to have a bit of fun. But they said that they saw that his knee had filled up with fluid, and even afterwards they were concerned how his body was going to react. I mean, obviously he then went and won the Worlds, the Euros, and Lombardia. But if it is true, I mean, how depressing for the Tour de France to come, because if he won on the verge of abandoning, then a fully fit Tadej Pogačar absolutely steamrolls everyone even more so than he did. But yeah,
you're right that it is. You got to take it with a pinch, a grain, some level of salt. Yeah. It's hard to say exactly, because we get these stories a lot. I feel like it's actually usually the reverse, though. Usually it's I'm not feeling well when in fact I'm feeling totally fine and I'm going to destroy you. This is sort of the reverse. It's like trying to hide the fact that he wasn't feeling well. But either way, I mean, there's always this mind games element of how much truth is being allowed to filter out.
Yeah. So yeah, a weird one. It makes sense why we don't hear the truth in real time, but then I guess it keeps everyone busy a bit during the off season because then the real news of what happened trickles. It's like when you have to wait like 3 decades for government files to get declassified and you actually find out what the hell was going on, and we only have to wait 4 or 5 months, so maybe we should be grateful. But yeah, I mean, very well done to the team, I guess. Like, we criticize that team for being a bit of a haphazard mess at times and unorganized, but they managed to keep this quiet.
When Pogačar's involved, they usually get their shit together. Like that seems to be the differentiator.
That is true, actually. Yeah, that is very true. Fair enough. Rescinded.
Well, there's a good reason to keep it quiet, right? Which is just that it's if Vingegaard knows he doesn't give up. It's not like he gave up, but he sniffs a bit of opportunity, perhaps.
He kind of gave up on that stage they shortened.
We might have seen a better end of the Tour de France if this had gotten out, right? Like that's the reality.
It should be like go on.
Well, I'll just say that Valence stage, I think, is the day that you and I left, Johnny. So yeah, they're just doing us a solid.
I was like Vingegaard. I'd one foot out the door already. It'd be much more fun if they did it like I presume they do this in other American sports, but like NFL, where you have to declare like your injuries and you can't lie about it because of betting, I guess, and fantasy and whatnot.
They also there's a lot of things that you could take a good cue from with American football, where you get like actual contract details, exact contract details, rather than like we have no idea whether an EF rider is signed at the end of the year or not because they just don't tell you how long the contract's are for. Like I remember there was a few years ago. So Pro Cycling Stats, they have whatever data they know, they put that in. And BMC was another team that like didn't tell full details. And so on Pro Cycling Stats, it seemed like 5 high-profile BMC riders were like out of contract. And another outlet, not one that I wrote for, had a story about all these out-of-contract riders. And BMC had to come out and say, these are not out-of-contract riders. Pro Cycling Stats just doesn't know that they have a contract for next year.
Right.
And this would all be solved if like normal sports, we just got full-on contract details. So-and-so signs, 6 years, $70 million, whatever. There's
a fine line between, because obviously the parochial nature of cycling is a lot of fun. But yeah, I think the injury stuff would be probably useful. And yeah, contracts. I can't really think of anything else.
As betting grows, that's the real reason to have that stuff sort of public.
Well, did you see... I think it was Velo who wrote that thing, is cycling due for the next big like gambling scandal? Because obviously there was the NBA thing where you have... Because NBA is an easier sport to fix because you can like miss your free throws and there's lots of different variables and way to source points. And cycling betting markets, one of the ones they have there is head-to-heads. So then basically you could just like ease off and let another guy go ahead of you, and then that's an easy way to fix it. The thing that I think
all the prop bets, right?
Prop bets, yeah, that's right. Yeah. The thing that failed to realise is how little money is being bet on cycling.
Yeah.
Like if you ever look on Betfair, which is like a market where you buy and sell bets, it is literally like a couple of pounds.
Right.
So I think we're safe for now. But who knows? Maybe that's if the Rockets do their job, maybe we'll be awash.
The Unibet Rockets.
You know who just wrote a really good piece about this was friend of the pod, Tour de France friend, Patrick Redford, over at Defector. Just wrote a great piece about the betting. I mean, he's pretty anti-betting, as I think most of the Defector crew are, in terms of sort of his take on this. The story that he wrote, which is worth reading, was sort of that basketball media. They're talking about this basketball controversy. Basketball media is ill-prepared to take on this story because they're all complicit, right? And they're all funded by the betting companies at this point. And because this is true, like you listen to the vast majority of sort of big ball sport podcasts or whatever, they're all funded by
FanDuel. I've seen good
FanDuel
memes
and whatever else, right?
More on this story. When we return, podcast sponsored by DraftKings.
Exactly. And so, like, how can you expect a media ecosystem that is like massively funded by these entities, which like let's remember that these didn't really exist 10 years ago in the States anyway, because online betting in the States is relatively recent. And Patrick makes a really good case for, one, the media ecosystem not being prepared or like capable really of handling this, and two, just of sort of like the horrors of having a casino in your pocket at all times, and like the terrible things that that's doing, particularly to young men across a lot of America right now, which I'm pretty much I'm fully on board with. I mean, I'm not a gambler myself. Never really understood it. I hate losing money more than I like winning money, so I just like I can't do it.
Yeah,
Drives me nuts.
I think it's a much more of a shock to the system over in America, because like the UK, it's kind of always been
right.
Like my granddad has like for years had a betting shop and to go down and like put a couple of quid on like a horse. So it's much more ingrained in like the culture. It doesn't make it right, and definitely the phones.
Yeah,
like,
the mobile aspect is really.
Like my youngest sister, her like guys she knew at uni, and like talk about how they just sit there watching the football, and it would just be like money going. So it's like obviously like it's a bad thing, but it's just quite hard. I don't know, from like a British perspective to be
but it's new here.
It's normalized, So which is wrong, but it being new means that you actually wake up and are like, oh, this is actually quite insane.
Yeah, and you've got lots of young men, going into massive debt at 22 years old. And
I actually feel like being a cycling fan uniquely prepared me for the coming of this to America, because 10 years ago when I was watching a stream on Steep Hill from British Eurosport, I was getting those ads that we were not getting in America. And I was seeing every ad break that sports betting was like, it's just every ad break in the UK. It's insane. And then also visit Azerbaijan. That was another one I remember. That was a real big one.
You found out about gambling and Azerbaijan in one fell swoop.
Most of America doesn't know Azerbaijan exists, so
Thanks, Steep Hill.
They don't have enough oil or something, probably.
No. How did we get on this topic again?
We went from UAE to in reporting injuries to American sports.
That's
to
it.
Gambling.
Good for us. Can I plug Patrick's new podcast while we're here?
Yeah, why not?
This isn't us, but like we like Patrick. He traveled with us at last year's tour. I think he's probably going to travel with us again at next year's tour. He'll probably
I am €100, so I think he's very much planning to. I tried to pay him back, and he's like, "Oh, just pay me back next year." I was like, "Oh well, you're coming to tour next year then, I guess."
He loved it. It was his first Tour de France, and he'll be back in the pod next summer, so we can plug him right now. He has a new podcast called "Only If You Get Caught." And the latest episode, which I listened to the other day, these are great kind of like 30-minute kind of deep dives on a scandal generally. And the most recent one was actually with other friend of the podcast, Joshua Robinson of the Wall Street Journal.
They don't need us anymore.
Talking about a story that I have discussed with Josh, like in Tour de France cars, just sort of something that he was working on, which is a big scandal in chess. Around.
Oh yeah.
Remember the anal beads?
Yep.
And
I didn't know you were going to say it, but there we go. There we go.
So go check out Patrick's new pod. Only If You Get Caught. It's a good
There's no
listen.
way that Josh Robinson actually uses that terminology in the podcast. He must describe it in its.
I can't remember what he says. There are a couple moments, where Patrick kind of finishes his sentence for him.
the man who refuses to wear shorts at the Tour de France because that is impolite to his professionalism is surely not talking about such items.
I mean, so Josh has also obviously been on our pod a lot, right? And we love him for it. He's very good on podcasts, and actually,
he's
like
great.
Listening to this one with Patrick, he nails it. He absolutely does. Anyway, go check it out. Only If You Get Caught. I think it's a Radiotopia pod that he's working on over there. So quick plug for our friend Patrick. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Dane, you got some EF stuff for us. Let's get to it. Welcome back, everybody. All right, Dane.
Yeah.
You called up Jonathan Vaughters yesterday.
I did.
Yikes.
Yikes.
How was he?
How was
There
it?
was no yikes. It was great. It was delightful.
I'm still not going to release what your nickname is
wait till
until
after
after dark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the purpose of this phone call was that they've got a bunch of new signings, a bunch of young riders, and that's what we want to talk about today. Is some of the young riders that team is picking up. I think we can maybe expand the conversation a little bit into other youngsters that are headed into the World Tour, moving around the World Tour. EF has always been one of those teams, and JV has said this numerous times, that they kind of have to operate on the margins of the market, right? They have to get riders on their way down. They have to get riders on their way up, because when they're at the very top, they generally can't afford them, right? Because those riders are in the many millions of euros, and they just can't. That's not where that team is financially. So riders on the way up, who are they picking up for next year?
Yes, they got several riders, actually, that they've just signed the past few days. This is why I called JV up. I messaged you, Kaylee, because I woke up in the morning, I saw they'd signed Michael Leonard from Ineos, and I thought, like the third 20-year-old, 21-year-old kid they've signed in the last week. Noah Hobbs coming up from their development team. I don't know if you want to count him as being a transfer or not, but then they had also signed Luke Lamperty, and then Mattia Agostinacchio, who is the junior cyclocross world champ. Also, JV told me that they were signing Matthias Schwarzbacher from UAE's development team. So lots of youngsters coming aboard. Seemed like there was a headline there, I thought. So called up JV. It showed me a lot of interesting things. So I don't think it'll be a shock to anyone that you got to sign guys when they're like 13 years old. Now that's just how it works in cycling. Apparently, it wasn't that way when I think Kaylee and I got into the sport. But now teams are going younger and younger, and EF is finally kind of getting in on this for a number of reasons. So first off, you already kind of pointed out, it's if you're EF, you kind of have to get in at that point or later, way later. And
like Carapaz later.
Right, and I think JB has identified probably
Rigo Iran
that I think so. I would see riders like Michael Leonard or Luke Lamperty and Agostinacchio in particular, guys who have the potential to develop into something big. It's kind of like buying a lottery ticket, right? Maybe they don't pan out. You don't have any evidence that they're going to do much in the World Tour yet because they're young. Who knows? And I think it's a good strategy even to for JV and other teams in this position, not quite big budget outfits, to go out and just buy lottery tickets rather than doing the other end, where you're going to go get. Maybe you could probably sign a bunch of guys who could finish like 8th at the Vuelta a Burgos, right? Like those guys are there. The market is flush with those riders. And as JV pointed out, if what he was looking for was UCI points, that's probably that's the most efficient way to get them. But he said that his sponsor and his owner don't give a rat's ass about ass. That's quote.
Not even a tiny rat's ass.
about UCI points. What they want is high-profile wins, and you're not getting high-profile wins generally from 32-year-old riders on their third contract. So, get those lottery tickets. Now, this is nothing new. I mean, UAE and Visma have been doing this for a while, signing teenagers.
Right.
But there's some changing circumstances have allowed EF to finally really get into this game over the past couple of years. For one, as JV pointed out, his sponsor, EF Travel Company, was kind of up against it during the COVID years, because those of you who were around during the COVID years will remember the travel industry suffered. So I think he's getting a bit more financial backing. I think he's got more sign off from his bosses to spend money to hire some of these young guys who it's not easy to sign them because UAE's already offering them $1 million when they win the L'Avenir stage. And JV told me he said he put his heart and soul into trying to sign Isaac Del Toro. But that wasn't going to work out because UAE's paying him a lot more.
Yeah.
So he's got that, and then the other thing is, I think riders are more willing to sign with EF now. There've been some good success stories about young riders. They a couple of years ago. This is JV himself saying this. They were the fun marketing team with Palace jerseys, and now.
Yeah, that's true. And that's
now
true,
they got Ben Healy. And that's Ben Healy was the real catalyst for a lot of this. JV said he wants more Ben Healys on his team.
Yeah.
So. They signed Healy when he was 21, give or take a year. He's gone on to win, Tour de France stages. He's finished top 10 overall at the Tour de France. Highly marketable rider. He's still only 25. So this is what they're looking for. They're looking for more of that and less of not to we spent so long talking about the Rockets in a positive way, but I think a lot of the Rockets riders are the opposite of this. They're the sort of guys that you're signing on their third or fourth contract. Yes, they're well known. They've proven they can do stuff.
They're at the other end, like the Rockets.
They want points.
Yeah, they
want
one, they want points, and two, they still have way less money than EF right now.
Well, that's
right.
True.
So it is worth sort of putting that context around it. Yeah, I think there's an interesting, and actually, it's sort of Johnny, you've been poking away at a story on this front for a while. Is this balance between performance and marketing? Right?
Oh yeah, that's coming as well.
Yeah, and it's not only just in World Tour racing, but like I've had this same conversation with gravel riders, for example, right, where they often feel like, and this is true to some extent, that their job is to be an influencer as much as it is to be a bike racer, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that that's sort of trickling toward the World Tour. And there's some good and there's some bad about this. I mean, I've said numerous times, many times, that there's no inherent value in riding or economic value in riding a bicycle around quickly, right? Like no one cares if you can ride a bicycle around it quickly unless you productize it and you market it and it turns into a sport that you can build like actual economic value around. But like where's the line there? Because athletes sort of need to be given some level of space to just be athletes, and I think that there's nothing kind of wrong with that. Like the sort of the purity of the Olympic movement, amateur, sport kind of ideal. I still think that has some, I don't know, some interest to it, and is relevant and valuable. But in the modern world, where sort of everybody has to be their own brand and everybody has to make their own content, and the way that was that.
That's always been the case a bit. Like if you think about like Michael Jordan and stuff, and like footballers, everyone it's just I think because of the lifestyles dictated to endurance athletes, there is so much less space afforded for them to be real people. So I think it makes it much harder, and I think we'd probably hold up cyclists as idols a bit more than sports teams will hold up their own players, right? But then to the 95% of the sports fans, you're just like another guy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Social media also allows way more people to get into this game, right? Like the Rockets, for instance, or gravel riders, for instance, who maybe 10 years ago, before everybody and their mom had Instagram, riding good on gravel wasn't really going to make a career out of. Yeah.
Because to some extent it's democratized attention, which is effectively the argument of athlete versus influencer, and which is more valuable in terms of, it's just eyeballs. Like that's all what it is. There's, it's not like you're buying, dishes from a shop or whatever like that, but actually has a function. This is entertainment.
But underneath that is you need the sort of authenticity that comes and relevance that comes from actual sport performance.
Which, to bring it back to UAE, to bring it back to EF, Ben Healy is a great. That's like the unicorn. The dude's got style, right? And also,
and then that was the cherry on top is that he won. But you need. It's not even necessarily performance that you need. What you need is a story, and just the easiest story often to tell is guy achieves what he or girl achieves what they want to achieve, and they are happy, and that inspires you. I wonder with young riders coming through, whether as we're talking about UAE in part one and like the connotations with what's going on, especially with Israel, whether there will come an inflection point with newer generations of when they will start to think about where they sign for. And what that says about them, and even if they want to make it quite shallow and think about their personal brand going forward, but whether that will ever, I'll be interested if that ever factors into the equation when young riders decide where to sign their futures to.
Well, and if teams like the Rockets or EF can build effective enough marketing machines around their riders that they can actually have those riders make as much, if not more money than they would just get in the bag at UAE, that starts to shift things a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
Because if you're like, right, you come to us, we like kind of, you'll learn how to do the content creation stuff, and then regardless of if it works out with our team, at least then you'll have a bit more of a platform, and you can go and do your own Instagram or YouTube content or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you reckon there's a market as well for like okay, NFL analogy coming up. Your Sam Darnold's or your who's the other Daniel Jones, guys who seem to like have been thrown on the scrap heap, useless, good for nothings, now resurgent because they've turned it around, got the right coach. Whatever. Do you think cycling is too physiological a sport and the teams are too dialed these days that say if a rider with promise then their first contract doesn't work out? Does that is it more likely that then the second contract doesn't work out in terms of them fulfilling the promise that they initially showed?
I do think that's generally true in cycling. That it's really unlikely for
someone
those
to
late career resurgences. Not that it's impossible. On the other side of it, though, is that those
Chris
riders
Froome wasn't good till he was 27.
That's interesting, isn't it?
That's weird.
Yeah, his case was less of like, I mean, he didn't go from like good to bad to good again, right? He just went from like we've
bad
never heard
to
of this
good
person to he wins. Yeah. One thing though that it's sort of
to
changed in the past several years is those riders are now extremely cheap, and that's another aspect of this whole thing that I think I got some good perspective on. Was Waters sort of pointing out that the market has just totally collapsed for those riders because everyone is trying to get that next Tadej Pogačar, and you don't think you're going to get it from Sam Darnold. Not to mix metaphors here, but so if you want that rider, you can get them, and if you're a team that is looking for that right now, it's a great time. I mean, one, teams are looking for the next Pogačar. Two, teams that are full of that kind of rider, Arkea, Intermarché, Lotto, they're going away, so that even floods the market even more.
Yeah.
So you can get that rider.
And we're not talking about guys that are 35. We're talking about guys that are 27.
Yeah. Do you remember when you had to be 27 to like be a Tour de France contender because you were finally old enough? That's the greatest lie the Asian cyclist ever told.
Greg Van Avermaet like won his first and only monument when he was like post 30s, and I was like, oh yeah, of course he has the experience now. That's what it was.
Yeah, just all of these guys just being held back because the aging team leader was like, no, you will get your chance in 4 years after towing me around for 3 of them.
Yeah. It's an interesting. We're in an interesting place in pro cycling right now, and that's why I think this split is so interesting to me. The split between the big money and the teams that are finding other ways to produce value, basically. And yeah, EF and the Rockets are just sort of the most obvious, but there's other teams trying to do similar things. I mean, I think that Trek on occasion does pretty solid content, maybe less consistently, but does pretty solid content. But yeah, there's other teams that I think are going to have to start doing it as well. Because the other thing is that it does is we've got this sport where the only thing, where 9/10 of your visibility comes in 3 weeks in July, right? And if you can expand that out and you can build your own audience and you can build your own distribution, even if it's using platforms like YouTube or whatever. But you can get those eyeballs whenever you want, as opposed to just via ASO in 3 weeks in July. It does start to shift the balance of power slowly away from the Amory family, which long-term is quite an interesting trend. And we are in the very, very, very beginning of it, I would say. But long-term, it is an interesting trend.
Are you saying the Amory's are going to start vlogging? Is that where we're headed?
Yeah. Madame Amory.
That's what we need.
Going to start on
Bonjour,
Twitch. Should we get to our last little news story here?
Before we wrap up? You want to end on a literal high note?
We're going to end on a high here. Portuguese rider Antonio Carvalho Ferreira has been provisionally suspended.
I thought he played left back for Wolves, no?
Probably better than what we've got, honestly. Has been provisionally suspended by the UCI due to discrepancies in his biological passport. So we've got 2 biological passport cases in, 10 days or so, which is interesting. Not really that surprising, because these things, they're probably sort of working their way through the system kind of alongside each other. They pull these groups of doctors together. They're probably like, hey, we've got 2 for you to look at, right? That sort of thing. But still, slightly distressing that we've got another one. We've talked about how Portuguese cycling in the past.
Weird that he's from Portugal, eh?
Yeah, just it's not known to be the most clean.
Switch the lights off, you might still see him.
Yep.
I feel like this guy. I mean, he's won stages at the Vuelta a Portugal, which to me,
that race in particular,
that's like an AAF right there.
You either have to be doped or shot out of a cannon to win one of those races. Can I let you know what Antonio likely is saying in response to this?
Yes.
That he's innocent and that he has always shown integrity, and that the passing of time will prove his innocence, and he'll do everything in his power to clear his name.
Well, the really interesting thing about this case, I mean, to be a little bit more serious, is that this is another one like Oyer Lascano without an adverse analytical finding. He did not test positive. He's never tested positive. So this is a case where a panel of experts has decided that his various biological markers are so ridiculous that there is a likelihood that he was doping to achieve them, and that on the strength of that alone,
an extremely high likelihood.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. They don't make this decision lightly.
No.
And it also raises the question of like how many riders out there we never hear about because they've kind of come to the conclusion, yeah, probably, but we're not going to say that it's so likely as to suspend him.
Yeah.
Well, and if they've got money and they can tie up in court for a billion years and bankrupt your agency.
I do wonder, Carvalho's saying he wants to fight this, but it's an expensive process to do that. But yeah, in general, this is the panel, which I think it's 3 experts that make this decision. They got to be pretty confident before they take this step.
I've actually reached a point. Did you guys read like the big thing that Lizzie Banks put out?
Yeah.
So her whole thing was an adverse analytical finding that she contests and that she fully says was contamination. It basically ruined her career. And yeah, the testing now is so sensitive that this does. I'm not going to sit here and tell you exactly whether Banks is correct or not. But it is clear, I think, that some of these, at least, adverse analytical findings are just contamination. And the UCI and WADA have found this to be the case in a number of athletes' cases, and they still end up with either short bans or, at the very least, like a hefty legal bill and a serious sort of dent in their personal credibility as well as ability to make a living in the sport. And you've got it just via ate the wrong protein powder at the wrong time kind of thing, because there is this concept of strict liability within anti-doping where you are responsible for what's in your body regardless of how it got there, right? This is a long way of me saying I have increasingly reaching a point where I believe that the biopassport is probably a fairer way to get doping athletes out of the sport than straight up testing. Because straight up testing actually doesn't catch that many athletes anymore, and many of those that it does seem to be in this like just the tiniest amount of something, decently likely that it actually was contamination kind of space. And
or you're a Conti rider with like EPO, and it's like
or it's like, oh yeah, you did EPO Sarah in 2025.
But
what
Tiny
are you
Pogačar's
doing?
not going to compete with that.
Or you can smell the tramadol fumes of Quintana. Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
the really good riders, the really big high profile riders, they're smarter or they're better funded. They're not going to get test positive for EPO in 2025.
But the biopassport is sort of set up so that the bar is quite high that you have to get to before you're going to get nabbed. And there's most of the time there's just no other explanation for what these markers could be showing. So I actually feel better about the biopassport now than I do about some like certain bits of just sort of straight up testing.
Could you not have been doped from the age of like 17 though, and then your markers are just...
Yeah, but you would have to like literally never stop.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Right? Like you'd have to be you'd have to be microdosing in the end of November every year since you were 16, and I mean at some point you're gonna it's possible, it's totally possible. I'm not saying that neither of them are perfect, right? But if you do get to the point where a biopassport thing has been flagged, I feel like
Yeah.
I personally, as somebody who wants both clean sport and also wants athletes to not get nabbed for stuff that they did accidentally.
Yeah.
I feel better about Biopassport than I do about a lot of this testing, particularly for these like trace amounts of some, weird topical steroid or something like that.
On that note, so we're Alex Hunt and I are sort of trying to explain on how all this works. And I actually just heard back from the representative at the International Testing Agency this morning with a really great, expansive answer to a bunch of questions we had. And one of them I think is really fascinating. Talking about how they model for outliers. So it's an algorithm. They plug all your data into an algorithm, and the algorithm spits out hey, this is an outlier based on everything else we've seen. And again, to go back to how bad it has to be to actually get you flagged and then actually banned or provisionally suspended. Outliers, of course, I'm quoting from an ITA representative. Outliers correspond to those values outside of the 99% range. So the lower limit is the 0.5th percentile to an upper limit corresponding to the 99.5th percentile, which means it's a
So you got to be so far outside the bell curve
that you're either on the 0.5 or 99.5. You're outside of that. So there's the mathematical correspondence is basically a 1% chance that this is a normal variation.
Right.
So that's what gets you flagged, and then you have experts that look at it, and only then do they actually decide to go ahead with a suspension. Because you do get a chance to say, oh, well, I was at altitude for 3 weeks, and that's why this looks weird, or this or that, or whatever.
Or I had cancer, or like what there's lots of different things that could that sort of mess with your
I was taking this or that thing, legally, whatever it is. Only after that whole process goes through does then the panel of experts say, no, still likely that this is. So you just think how many riders are getting by actually without getting caught, and then if you do get suspended. Some experts have decided it's pretty likely that you were breaking the rules. So, yeah.
Don't race the Vuelta to Portugal, is what I'm saying.
Or at least don't win stages.
Don't win stages.
Try to go a little under the radar,
Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to that story, Dane, and exactly how all this stuff works. I think that'll be interesting. I do think it's time for us to wrap up today on that high note. We love to end on a high note, we are going to head into After Dark, where I'm going to try to play a video clip that indicates what Dane's nickname is from Jonathan Vaughters.
Video.
I'm not sure it'll play the audio, which then it won't really work. But we'll see. We'll see if it does it.
I've got an update on both crime and my bike.
Ooh. I'm still not going to. Still not going to England.
Due to crime?
Yeah. I don't want my phone stolen, Dane.
Yeah.
Or all manner of other things.
Out of your hand.
all manner of other things that could happen to me.
I'll recover.
Yeah.
I saw on Instagram the other day that somebody got their headlights stolen out of their car in London.
You saw that? I love how you're on British Twitter. Yeah, that was funny though, because I think that guy's a bit of a plonker. So everyone was just like, "This is hilarious. Thank you for posting it." Yeah.
All right, let's head off to After Dark. If you are not already a member, go sign up.
Yeah, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Do it. Come on. Escape
Someone's
Collective.
just going to nick that money if you don't spend it.
It's the
way things are going.
escapecollective.com/join. You get access to the member purchase program, which means you can go buy stuff at a special member-only price and basically cover your membership like in a couple purchases. Again, I just did that last week. I saved myself like $100 just straight away. So go sign up. escapecollective.com/join. Join us in After Dark and get performance process and all the rest. We'll see you Monday. Unless you are a member, in which case we will see you right after the little jingle.